It's an exclusive thing, yeah. I wanted to be a rapper. Ghanaians were not interested in Ghanaian comedy, even though it was Ghanaians that were making Ghanaians laugh. No, I wasn't paid. We were the part of the many more and many more. I did 7 minutes. I said, talk to my manager. That is our L plus equal. I killed that show. God, I want
Yeah.
to be at the front page of graphic. During COVID, I was depressed. I was contemplating. I cried. That's how we ended up on TV through Nana Banamwais.
Being funny is easy. Making a profession of it is not. My name is Yahweh J, and welcome to Life After School. Does school really determine your future? Or that is what we've been told. For years, we've measured success by grades and degrees. But what if life has other plans? In a world where dropouts build empires and top students still struggle, it's time we ask real questions. Welcome to Life After School, the podcast where we explore the truth about education, success, and everything in between. Whether you're a straight A student, a university dropout, or just trying to figure things out, this is the space for you. Let's challenge the system, hear real stories, and also discover what really shapes our future beyond the classroom. Life after school. School ends, but the journey doesn't. Today on Life After School, Lekzy Decomic breaks down the education, discipline, and career decisions that turned jokes into a profession. So, Lexi, people term comedians as one of the smartest people in the world,
Yeah.
especially because if you go on stage, it's just you and the crowd.
Yeah.
Would you subscribe to this assertion that comedians are one of the smartest in the world, and why?
Um, I one time met one wise man, the former owner of TV Africa. Oh, how did I just forget this man?
Call answer.
Call answer. And he said, it is easier to make anybody feel sad, but to say something for people to be happy is the most difficult thing to do because it's more psychological and reading the room and knowing how the people feel and saying the right things at the right time. So if somebody labels himself a comedian and is doing the job with every aspect of professionalism, then it's requires some level of intelligence. That makes us very smart because in God's infinite wisdom, not every he didn't give just anybody the ability to be funny. You know, you can have about 10 friends and just one guy is the one that makes everybody laugh all the time. He brings that job into the squad. You know, and music, football, any other thing with consistent practice, you can get better. But comedy, if you don't have the gift, you don't have the gift. It's kind
So, with that being said, right, I know comedy in Ghana has transitioned from the days of Incommode, Ejaku, and the likes, the days of concert party where a lot of the comedy was done in Chi, and only KSM and I think some other people were the ones doing comedy in English. Uh, would you say that the new crop of comedians have transitioned from that time till today?
yeah. There's been some tremendous growth, and I won't say that the people have stopped doing the tree comedy. People are still doing tree comedy. Even with us, we still mix it up sometimes with the tree, right? Because that is our root. That is the largely most spoken language of our people. And for you to connect to the Ghanaians and tell their true story, you need to sometimes bring it down to their level so they can understand. But yeah, now we have quite a good number of English speaking comedians. Big shout out to the likes of the Bobo Kala, the Commodores, and Waterproof. And as you mentioned, KS, they actually crawled for some of us to walk And I greatly believe that a generation is coming that will probably run, and a generation after will fly. So there's been some level of growth in the industry. There was a point where about 10 to 15 years, Ghanaians were not interested in Ghanaian comedy, even though it was Ghanaians that were making Ghanaians laugh from the concert party days and the KSM era. But at some point they say no, unless you import a comedian from outside to come make them laugh. And it took extra hard work to get us to the point where now Ghanaians are now paying some good cash to come and watch their own make them laugh. So yeah.
Well, so with the mention of that, right? I want to go back to the conversation of Ghanaian comedians, uh, comedians around the world being smart, right? I know the new crop of comedians do have some substantial education to their names. For you, where did your education start for you? I know in one of your comedy performances, you had mentioned that your dad told you that he was taking you to the best school in Ghana. So tell me about that.
Um, do I have to tell you the schools I attended, or you want to know my
Um,
dad's mind
no,
games
no,
on
no,
me with
no, no,
regards
no,
to the school?
not the mind game. So just from your genesis, where did you
Okay,
start
so
in
I
terms of it?
started from a school called Wise Way, which currently they've rented the classrooms out for accommodation. So the landlord must eat. So, and I went to
Mhm.
St. Lawrence at some point. Then I went to Grace Preparatory at some point. Then I went to St. Mark Methodist Preparatory School. That is where I completed my JSS. And I went to the best secondary school in Ghana, Kofodia Sector in Marimamba. And from there I went to, it was then the best polytechnic in Ghana, but currently it's part of the university. So we've lost that title. And Taekwondo Technic, Taekwondo Poly, now Taekwondo Technical University,
Mhm.
which I studied graphic design. Yeah,
So let's take it back to senior high school, which was Kufodia Sectech.
yeah.
I know with the name secondary technical, right? They do offer technical and the general secondary programs. Which one did you take at Kufodia Sectech?
I did visual art. So
Okay,
it's been art from well, it was primary days. It was science. So it was GSS that Ghana happened to me, and I had to change my interest.
okay. So when you say Ghana happened to you, can you go into that? What was the story behind it?
I am well. I don't know. At some point, I veered away from interest in science. I started drawing. I was very good with art. So my dad was like, okay, why don't you go pursue art? Because every child wants to be a pilot, doctor. We all have big dreams. But sometimes circumstances will make you now shape up your direction a little bit. But well, I mean, I was born to do art. Like I was born to be part of the art because everything every fiber of me is art. So yeah.
So every fiber of you is arts. Um, did you actually select visual arts when you were going into Kofodia Sectech?
Yeah, I chose visual arts. My parents also supported the idea of doing visual art. But honestly speaking, I the grades I had, I could have pursued science, but
Okay.
I just chose to do art.
So with you going into visual arts, right? What was the end goal for you? What did you think you were going to become while in senior high school?
Yeah, I wanted to work at that time. Graphic, like the dailies it was a big thing then. Like so, I wanted to work with Ghana Graphic Corporation, either on with daily graphic or graphic showbiz. Actually, my dad had a friend there who had promised my dad that right after school he will allow me to do my service. Then right after service, they'll give me a desk so I can work full time. So that was the dream until I went to tertiary. Things took another turn. I had to change career path. No, I was in tertiary still pushing the whole I want to be a graphic designer narrative
Uh-huh.
until I had this friend. When I was in secondary school, I was in a rap group called Backpage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're doing music then, running away from campus. We're doing music then, running away from campus to go record songs. And I wanted to be a rapper. So I was a singer at some point when I was in GSS, and I developed interest in rap music. So when I went to secondary school, my school father asked me what I want to contribute to the school ecosystem in terms of entertainment or sports. And I said, I'm a rapper. Then I did a freestyle. Then from there, I had to keep up with it because that was his bragging right. That my school son knows how to rap. So we formed a group called Backpage, myself, Richard Johnny, um, Sickle Bone, Stereo. We're four in number. And after school, I think reality hit everyone, like every one of us. So we went to tertiary to go pursue other things. But my friend Richard Johnny, he felt like, yo, you way back in school, you were very funny. I don't know why, even if music didn't work, you would choose not to do comedy. So he kept pushing me to do comedy until one day he had to put his job on the line as a radio presenter and say, go do comedy. If you do comedy and you fail at it, I'll stop my job. I said, okay. That is how come I entered into stand-up. He lobbied for a platform then called Comedy Bar that was happening at Accra Mall Silver Lounge. I went there, I performed, and it was an amazing experience. So I said, okay, fine. I think this is where I belong. So right after that experience, I went back to campus, that's tertiary. I went back to campus, that's tertiary, and the uh, I felt like, no, why should I even be listening to my lecturers? I'm the one people are supposed to listen to. So the interest of sitting in a classroom and listening to a lecturer tell me what I my interest just left the whole graphic design into, and I started pushing the whole comedy thing. That was I
So
think 13 years ago.
if you say you lost interest in graphic design when you were in Takrady Technical University, does that mean that you dropped out of school or
No, no, no.
you
I completed. So it's an exclusive thing, yeah. I had a few races to write, so I completed school, but
uh-huh.
I still had some receipts to write, so I didn't complete with the badge, my original badge. I had to go and come back, sit and write my receipts just so I can get my set.
Your certificate?
Yeah, and that one quite took about like 5 years of me doing my comedy thing. And this thing I'm telling you, my dad even doesn't know about it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
he
yeah,
kept asking me what's your set. I'm like that. Because then I was making money from comedy. So when he says I just rubbish it, like I don't really
yeah.
need a set with it.
Yeah. Well, that is actually very commendable that you went back to school to take your research. With this being an education platform, right? Uh, I know a lot of people who have gone to school who haven't graduated and have decided that they are going to throw their 4 years, 3 years away because they are not ready to go write the research. They've lied to their families. Some people went as far as doing graduations by borrowing people's gowns. If you were to send them a message, what would you tell them?
Go back to school. Honestly, I wish I could have combined education with my academic lifestyle or my academics, whatever I wanted to do with that. Because by now I should be having either my master's or something. I admire those who have been able to, even if you won't use it for anything, for the fact that like you have the set there, there are days you sit in conversations and you realize that you wish you can contribute. And for the fact that I went to tertiary is why I can sometimes contribute to some of these conversations because it's on another level. And sometimes you can sit in a conversation and realize, and this the conversation they are having goes beyond my maybe an HND or a degree conversation. Now they are speaking of masters or like PhD, and you wish you
Mm-hmm.
can contribute. So around that time, you might not necessarily need your certificate. Like that, you don't need your certificate to get a job, but that conversation needs your intellect on that level of education just to contribute to the conversation, and you'll be lacking. And I'm telling you, with all my exploits in comedy, meeting all these great people, that is why I went back to school to go get my certificate because I want to go back to school and fix all the things that I couldn't do in the past. I might not necessarily use it, but it opens your mind to a different phase of how things are supposed to be done. Honestly, I don't do graphic designing now, but now when I put out my artwork, I hear people say, "Oh, the artwork is really nice." Why? Because whoever is designing the artwork, I am telling you how you need to do it because I have a fair idea. If I tell jokes, I make it very colorful because I'm coming from a background of color. Uh, yes, so education, no, you cannot rule it out. You can make all the money, but at some point, you will still need education to play a key role in your life.
So, to all the people who are watching today, Lexi is telling us that if you have resets in school, it's never too late. You can go back, take your exams, re register all your courses, and make sure that you are graduating from school. So, Lexi, let's come back to the conversation of your comedy performances. You mentioned that you went to, I think you said Silver Line,
Silver
um,
Lounge,
Silver, and this
yeah,
was at Accra Mall, correct?
yeah, come on, 2013,
Yes.
20.
Um, your first performance, how well did you think it went,
It went
and how
so
did people receive you?
It went really great. Actually, they gave me 2 minutes. So we were a bunch of new guys also trying to do the comedy thing. So this one of the godfathers of comedy, James Brown, had this platform that's a comedy bar. So as a young comedian, he won't give you enough time. The max you can do is 2 minutes on stage. So I watched other people go on stage. Some get good, some just get a normal laughs and all. But when I go on stage and I did my 2 minutes, I think we did 2 minutes. I go and stand in ovation like twice. And I wanted to end my set, but James Brown was prompting me to keep going, keep going. That minute, because I knew performing to strangers who know me from nowhere, and for them to laugh at my jokes was a sign. Yeah, so that was the beginning of me deciding to, okay, yeah, put my 100% in this.
So, Lexi, with that comedy performance spearheaded by James Brown in 2013, was that your very first paid gig?
No, I wasn't paid. As a young comedian coming up, it's just like music. You drop a few songs that will never be hit. Because the hit is what's going to be with them, man. And nobody paid to come and watch me. The people they pay to come and watch are already on the poster. We were the part of the many more and many more. Yeah, so no one is paying you. You just go kill it. The only fulfillment you get is, okay, if in fact I can make people laugh, it's a good sign. So I was never paid. Never.
Hmm. So, would you not being paid for that gig, right? I want us to go into your very first big break where you earned money from your comedy.
Okay, so I think after performing for like a year and a half, I think 2 years, some of the big guys in the game, Percy Obenpon, DKD, David Agla, some of them started noticing me. So big shout outs to Percy Obenpon. So Percy was the one that spoke to me and said, do you want to veer a little into MC? I said, as far as it involves the microphone, I think I can do it. So he started introducing me to wedding MC. And the first time I was paid, I think when that was 2014, he paid me 300 cedis. I was so happy. I just couldn't. Yeah. 2 hours, I'm being paid 300 cedis. That's some good money. And I did so well, so he kept bringing in the gigs.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say any job that really paid me when it comes to stand-up comedy, it was the Night of Thousand Laughs. My first time being on it, I was paid 1,000 Ghana cedis. That was in the year 2016.
Okay. So 2016, A Night of Thousand Laughs. This is like a huge platform.
Yeah.
Mentally, how did you prepare to go on that stage, considering the enormity of the platform you were going on?
Okay. So before I even bring you to the whole Thousand Laughs conversation, DKV had a comedy special he was putting up called Point of View. And that show, I remember so well. I fasted, I prayed for days. Like, I knew that was that moment because it was the first time after that long break in comedy where people thought we were not funny. Something huge like that was going to happen at the National Theatre. National Theatre was so grand. So yeah, I said, why not? So I put in my 100%, brought out my best of best. Then this is us. We are backstage. I was supposed to perform after the first performer. Then another big thank you to, I keep giving credit to whom credit is due.
Yeah.
Chemical. So Chemical will come. I say, Chemical, I'm next, right? He go like, no, it's not yet time. And he will call another comedian. He kept skipping me for other comedians. And when they come, I ask them, how is the audience? Like, say, like, oh, the people are coming. The people are coming. But the place was still not full until the place was full to capacity. Then Chemical came and was like, Lekzy, it is time. You are going. And I was so nervous. I can tell you, I was rehearsing backstage. I will walk to the extreme end of National Theatre, rehearse my set. By the time I walk back to record whatever I had rehearsed,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember a line. I was so nervous. Like, I was so nervous. And they called me. I went on stage. I did 7 minutes. I remember so. 7 minutes, I think 23 seconds. I had standing ovation 4 times within the 7 minutes. And when I finished performing, I came backstage. KSM was backstage and he gave me a hug and said, son, I'm proud of you. And that was because every comedian in Ghana looks up to KSM. And I've performed for him so many times, but he has never made me feel like I'm a special breed or I'm doing something right. But after that night, he just gave me a hug and said, son, I'm really proud of you. I want to interview you on his show. And KSM show too was like the Daily Show of Ghana, the Ghana's version of the Daily Show. Then I went to sit. Then I saw Charterhouse. Then George Quay was working with them. George Quay came to me. I was like, young man, I want to put you on the 1,000 laughs. Are you up for it? I said, talk to my manager. Okay. I was like, yo, and then you talk to my manager. I spoke to my manager. The deal was signed. The deal was how much? 1,000 Ghana. But then it was some good money for me though.
Yep.
And I was not even looking at the money. It was the platform. That is our El Clasico. If you think you're good, because most of the comedians that come on it are like the ones we've looked up to, the Basketmouth, the Gondons, the Bovis, and all.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the opportunity for you to prove that, okay, you are also good as these guys who keep coming to Ghana. So it was a solid one. And we had another show called The Lord of the Rips, also by just they also came to ask me if I want to perform. So the gigs just kept coming, kept coming. Now coming back to the Night of Thousand, after DKV show, I got a friend called me and said I have an article in the dailies, graphic showbiz, where my picture is pasted on one side and they written a new gem has been discovered
Mm-hmm.
and they wrote about me. But I was still not happy because I felt like those who buy graphic, if they don't buy it, I mean, they don't get to see the medals. And God, I want
Yeah.
to be at the front page of graphic. Yeah, the dailies. Yeah. So 1,000 laps, I think basket was on it. Kenny Black, Kenny was on fire. He was like in his prime. The Stalker, I Would Die, and This Is Me, and I think Obi and Foster. And I performed right after my performance. Basket came. Oh, I killed that show. You see how I am investing so much energy in the I killed. I killed that show. Early morning on Monday, I got a call from about 5 friends. They called me and said, "You are on the front page of Graphic Shoegaze, and you are also on the front page of Daily Graph." And the caption on the picture was Lekzy and others. You know, initially I mentioned that
And
I
more.
was part of and many more.
Yeah.
And do you know the others? The others includes Basket Mark, Kenny Black, everyone. I cried, like I cried. And it was a dream come true. I
Mm.
remember those days when TV was a big deal then. Social media was now coming up. So
Mhm.
when they discuss your issue on radio and TV, it was like, that was it. So I remember Pandits then on GH1, they used about 30 minutes to discuss me for a show that was running for like 1 hour. They used 30 minutes to. Sometimes they can skip the topic and one of the pundits will go like, "You see that guy who came there last?" And this is me watching. I'm a fan of that show. So for the first time, this is me watching my issue being discussed on that show. It was a mind blowing moment for
So you've spilled a lot of beans, right? And I want to go into it. Backstage for a comedy performance, how does it look like? What are people doing? I know you mentioned that you were pacing back and forth. Aside that, what happens backstage for us who sit in the crowd? What are you guys doing backstage?
everybody does what the ritual that works for them. Some decide to sit, not talk to anybody. Some would want to like talk, just talk so they can ease the tension. Some will just be walking. Personally, if I know the magnitude of the show, I can't sit. I would be pacing around, rehearsing, taking some out, putting more in, taking some out, putting. Especially if maybe a comedian I trust so well to be so good goes on stage and probably some of the jokes that I know when are really cool jokes, but I went on stage and those jokes didn't really fly. Now I begin to edit my set quickly because I begin to edit my set quickly. And now that like people actually tell you, "Oh, I came to this show because of you. I came to this show because of," that is a lot of pressure. I came with my whole family just because of you. It's another ball game. So now you need to go on stage and deliver. Yeah. So it's a lot of tension though. It's a lot of tension, like a lot of tension. Because it's more like go and prove. Go and prove. You say you're funny, go and prove.
Mhm.
And we all see ourselves as very funny. But when it's time for the show, everybody wants to bring in their A game. That one, your fate is in your own hands if
It's
you
in your
decide
own.
to feel. Because comedy, one thing about it is you should be as best as your last show. And your current show will determine if the next gig to is secure. So if you fail, count yourself out because next time they are not calling.
I see. So let's speak about you being on the front pages of various newspapers. Personally, right? I thought before you go onto the front page, they actually call you to let you know. So you are saying on authority that you could appear in the newspapers, especially for something like a comedian or a musician who is doing well, without they
Mm,
not even saying anything to you. They just
mm.
publish the stories.
Well, I've never paid for a front page publication. But if others are paying, I can't tell. But I can say on authority that when you are doing something right or you are doing something bad, that is so good. You can be an armed robber, but you are so good with the armed robbery, you get a spot on the front page. And you
That's
can be doing equally something really good that people cannot even describe. They say that "Charlie, you are so bad with this thing." Yeah. You can also earn yourself a spot. And mostly our front pages, people are more interested in the negative. So the negative find its way more on the front page than the positive. So if you are doing something really positive and you find yourself on the front page of our dailies, then you really pushed extra to earn that.
So, Lexi, in your earlier submission as well, you had mentioned the GH1 TV. They were discussing you on there, right?
Yeah.
I know you also ended up uh, being on set with GH1. Do you mind sharing the journey into working at GH1 or collaborating with GH1?
Okay, so a big shout outs to my friend. So during COVID, I was depressed. I was contemplating suicide. We were
Wow.
not we were prevented from performing to live audience. They said we would spread the disease. We were there. We saw churches getting open for people to go for services, but comedy and any other entertainment gathering, they said they will not allow. And it went on and went on and went on and went on. And me, I made most the chunk of my money from performing to live audience. So after a couple of months, when I didn't see anything, I became so depressed. Then I think one time, Obi and I we connected. We spoke on phone, and we were looking at avenues that we could express the arts by not necessarily being on stage. Then we ended up on radio, Plus FM. We had a show called WMT, What
Mm.
Matters Today. But we realized that the WMT show, people loved it, but they didn't know the faces behind the voice.
Mhm.
So we said, okay, fine. Then we need to take it to TV. I remember there was a big TV station here in Ghana. We went to knock at their door, and the whole bureaucracy. This person needs to do that. This person needs to approve, and it was taking. We had so much fire in us, so we quickly went to GH1. Then Nanaba was there. Big thank you to Nanaba Namwa. When we went there, Nanaba Namwa was what brought you guys we explained to her quickly. She called the producer, called cameraman, called and said, listen, I want this show running by April. Shoot a commercial, push it, make sure it gets the mileage it needs. And that's how we ended up on TV through Nana Banam voice.
So, with the help of Nana Banamo and also she giving you guys the opportunity, right? I would want us to speak to students, be it university students, be it SHS graduates or whoever, right? In terms of taking opportunities that come our way, how would you tell, what would you tell students about opportunities that come their way?
Okay. I'll answer it, but I'll answer it differently.
Mm-hmm,
I'm a very religious person. I'm a Christian.
mm-hmm,
There is nobody in the Bible that God actually gave them something to do that they thought they could do it. Right from Moses, Elijah, Abraham. Even Abraham, God had to persuade him that leave your father's house. When he was living in a comfortable space, and God said, leave. I can make David, whoever. He wasn't signing up for any kinship, but an opportunity just came. May I believe that anytime people believe you can do something, it is God speaking through the people that you go do this thing. At least give it a try. The worst that will happen is you fail. Failure doesn't kill, but at least you try. So as a young child that you feel like there are a lot of opportunities coming your way, grab it, take advantage of it. It will shock you. Some of us, what we even studied in school is not what is paying us now. I believe the Bible will say that the gift of a man maketh a way. This gift of mine, if I was working with my certificate, probably the people I've performed to, the people I've met in life, the places I've traveled to, I wouldn't have. But even this very podcast we are having, it is through the gifts that and opportunities that I took in the past that are granted me a spot here. So I'm just saying, just grab it, go in for it. And listen, if the dream doesn't have opposers, people not telling. If you don't get people telling you it's not possible, then it is not worth chasing. You need to still get people telling you it is not possible. It's making you're wasting time. Invest your time in something more lucrative. Because imagine the first guy who created an aeroplane, it has never ever happened before. And he decided to put metals together and thought of it like, okay, well, I can fly from one spot to another. Can you count the number of times he failed and people mocked at them? But
mm,
he made it happen because it is his vision. The dream of Joseph makes no sense to his brothers because that wasn't their vision. But as far as there is a vision and you decide to, sometimes life will even move you to certain places you never thought of going. You end up in a pit just like Joseph. At some point, you'll be even in prison. All is to polish the gift until that great opportunity comes for you to man up and take leadership skills. So yeah, you can be gallivanting, you might think, but as far as the dream is, you still believe that the dream is in motion. You are still moving towards a certain direction. No matter how the diversions and whatever, it will still come up to the same bigger objective God has placed in your life. So yeah. But all in all is don't give up on yourself and just grab every opportunity and do it to your limit. Don't say, "Oh, I'm doing it, biara, biara." You know, art is a very jealous thing. If you treat it anyhow, it will also pay you anyhow. But if you give your 100%.
So Lekzy had a dream of becoming a top comedian. Lekzy goes home and he's telling his parents, "You guys have paid my fees till now, but I want to do comedy." What was the reaction like from family when you told them that you wanted to do comedy?
I never told my family. They found out.
And how did they find out?
My dad, I think he heard about it on radio or something. But this they send it in tree. And when it's nice when it's in English, but when you narrate the whole thing in tree,
Mm.
that is like "Eh, Yoruba no Uji." And this is my father. He has paid my fees, expecting me to be behind a desk and say, "Oh,
Mm.
my son is doing a white collar job." So he didn't take it like. But at some point, he realized that no, he's a pastor. He works with the microphone.
Oh.
Probably the microphone is the only tool we can feed from. But maybe I'm using another way of doing it. So the only warning he gave me is in all your exploits, don't do anything that will tarnish my name. That people will say drag me into a conversation I've never been part of. Oh, um, this pastor's son is now an arm robber. This pastor's son is now into drugs. This pastor's son, all these things doesn't speak well of him. But as far as I'm doing the right thing, I'm making all the money, he's fine with it. So it's been his prayers and funny enough, I took the humor from him. So
Good for you. So let's move into the Ghanaian comedy space, right? Recently, we have been able to wrestle the comedy mantle back from Nigeria, and we are doing very well now. Um, would you say the comedy space is creating a pathway for the next generation? Because when you look at the musicians, you see the musicians harnessing talent, getting people who are underground to come up. What is the comedy industry doing today?
we are doing good. Yeah, we are doing good. Now I look at this, the number of young guys also trying to do comedy. It's very impressive. The squad coming after us, they are even more funnier than us. Just that they don't have the opportunity. Which we've created avenues for them to still do it. But that big opportunity that will get them being paid the huge sums of money is what they are making of. We've created a comedy club to harness new talents. We have the 2927 Comedy Club at Tesano. We have Soho Comedy Bar. We have a comedy bar at Koku. Uh, yeah, so far we have about 3 active. We didn't have as many as now, so we are making progress and we keep grooming new talent, so that we can. To be a star is easy, but to be a legend, you need to have a lot of people coming from your camp so that they can celebrate you.
To be a star is easy. To be a legend is pretty difficult. Let's look at our comedy industry right now, and in terms of spaces where you guys perform. There's a National Theatre. There's the Conference Center in Accra. In other regions, personally, I don't know. But would you say there are enough spaces for you guys to hold comedy shows to be able to
No,
welcome the numbers?
so generally, we don't have enough auditoriums for entertainment related things. and comedy happens to be part of the entertainment. When you decide to do a show in Ghana, maybe let's say around the festive season, that's when you know we don't have a new season. As I speak to you, National Theatre sometimes gets booked even before we enter a new year. As I way back last year, National Theatre was overly booked. Conference Center is overly booked. Um, a lot of these auditoriums are all booked, and it comes with even the private ones you can't afford. Very, very expensive. Some are charging in dollars as much as $15,000, $20,000. Crazy amount.
$50.
$15,000, $20,000. And how much are you even going to make at the gate for you to even say I'm paying that much amount of money? So we don't, and even the existing ones that we are working with are not in good shape. They are not in good shape. Still need some work to be done.
So if you were to be sending a message to the private sector and also to government in terms of making spaces for the entertainment industry, what would you tell the private sector and government?
Private sector or public?
No, I'm the private sector and government. What message would you send to them?
Entertainment business, as far as I know, is one of the most lucrative businesses you can ever venture in, if only the structures are in the right place, you know. But obviously, we don't have every big money in Ghana is moving into real estate, building homes that even Ghanaians can't afford. Meanwhile, that same money can build a whole auditorium that every weekend you can be raking back your investment. So I can only entreat them that, look at this direction. Yes, don't stop doing your real estate, but look at the business of entertainment to build it. This Christmas, even at some point, stadium, people were fighting over dates.
Mhm.
Even our stadium is not even like originally built for some of these events. Because if it was originally built, like sound like you do shows and you have a challenge of sound. If they considered events like live events, probably the position of the stadium wouldn't be like that. Meaning there is like zero interest in making it work with the entertainment space. But I just entreat, and I'm not limiting it to just the private sector, even the government.
Mhm.
So all these shows that we do, we are paying 21% on each ticket of tax on each ticket. So if I'm selling ticket for 300 cedis, I am paying, do the maths. Let's say 100 Ghana cedis, I'm paying like 21 Ghana cedis for the government. Multiply that by 1,000.
That's a lot.
And every weekend there is a show like that. That's the minimal amount I'm mentioning. Like, um, some are selling tickets for as much as 500, 300, 400, 500,000. And we are making all these money, but in terms of infrastructure, we are lagging behind.
Let's speak about the comedy industry in terms of those ones on social media. Everyone is recording skits, and these skits makers are putting out content consistently. How different is skit making from stage comedy?
Skit making, a director can tell you, cut, let's do it again. You can actually change your set. You don't have live audience, so you can even shoot it and choose not to post it. Nobody will hold you accountable. No one has paid you. But stand-up comedy, when they tell you it is your turn to perform, this is you and the live audience. There is no backup dancer. At least if you're a musician and you are boring on stage, there are some dancers behind you doing
Yeah,
something. This one is just you, your microphone, and the audience. You say you are funny, make a step. So our stand-up comedy of all the entertainment, of functions in entertainment, stand-up comedy is the most difficult uh, aspect of entertainment that you can ever venture into. Yeah, it's very, very, very difficult. But skate making, stand-up comedy, we are all driving the narrative of humor, but
mhm,
it varies. But stand-up comedians can be actors. Most stand-up comedians, not most, almost all stand-up comedians are actors, but not all actors can be stand-up comedians.
that's true. So, I know on stage, right? You like to involve the audience in your performances.
Yeah.
Um, how are you able to connect with your audience and still make jokes? Because personally, right, when I see you do that, I think this is very dangerous, because what if they don't respond? They don't respond in the manner you are looking for. How are you able to connect with your audience on that level to make us laugh?
Well, it's been years of practice. I didn't just start. And you see, when you do this job for a long time, at some point the audience, they open up to you. When you're on stage, they are not all strict and uptight. Like a young comedian coming up, they feel like you need to respect. You can't cross certain lines. But when you earn yourself as a good spot in the industry, sometimes you have your way with some of these things. But even that one, it's built on spontaneity, like being spontaneous. And if you say we want to be spontaneous, if I decide to talk about somebody in the audience, it must be funny. Because the minute I do it and they don't find it funny, I'm wasting their time. And I might even get insulted at the end of the day. Like, what? It was needless. But it takes a lot of practice, putting the work, working on the audience, working on. So as I said, there was a comedy club. So when we come, we tell the joke to a small number of people. If they don't laugh, meaning the joke is still it's not perfect yet. But if
Mm,
they laugh, meaning the joke is now cooked
mm,
for the big audience.
and ready
And
for.
over there too, you can try your crowd work thing with the audience. And when you get to a point where you are very comfortable doing that, you can convey it back on the big stage.
Mm. So, um, I want us to speak about mistakes in your journey. With you being a comedian, right? What would you say are some of the biggest mistakes you've made as a comedian, and what have you learned from it?
Mistakes.
It doesn't have to be on stage mistakes. Anything, any kind of mistake you've made in terms of pursuing your career, in terms of
Okay.
pursuing.
Earlier I used to complain why Ghanaians don't like comedy, like our kind of comedy. And I will go on radio and rant about it. But you see, if you claim you're funny, you don't have to come and tell the people you're funny. You need to prove to them you are funny. So I had to start, and I wasted a good number of years doing that. Now I start putting out my videos, they get to see me. Now they would want to pay tickets to come and watch me. So, meaning all the time that we were having the back and forth with the media, the Ghanaian populace was because even concert parties, because it was on TV, that's how we got to know they were all fun. If
Mhm.
they were doing it for just the people in the auditorium, a lot of us might not have seen them to be funny. So it's just we taking advantage of social media, putting out the shows. No matter the number of people that even turn up for our shows, we kill it because this that same number would show up with another set of people when we do a show. So that's how we grew the numbers over the years. Yeah, basically. And also, I'll say I wasn't managing funds operate way.
Mm.
Money comes because you think tomorrow there's another gig. So
That's another gig.
when money comes, you just do just. But now you're getting there somewhere.
So you've learned lessons from managing money from your comedy, right?
I'm still not perfect. I'm
Oh,
still not there. But
yeah.
at least after every gig, I can say, oh, I was able to acquire this for this. At least there's something to prove that even though you probably wasted all the money, but you were able to buy this, you were able to buy that. There are things that shows that oh, the money went to some investment.
So you are following the Daddy Lumba advice to Forian Ponsa to make sure that
Uh,
he is making properties or making something solid from his craft,
well,
basically.
we are not making that Luma kind of money. You know, we are not making that Luma kind of money, but
Yeah.
we are doing what we can with the
Uh,
little that comes our way.
yeah, God willing, eventually you are going to get there. So you mentioned a lot of comedians in your earlier submission, right? You
Mm.
mentioned OB, you mentioned Chemical, you mentioned Percy. How are you guys able to promote brotherhood between you guys and not toxic competition? Because you guys are in the same industry, you guys go onto the same stages, and yet you guys are able to maintain your friendships. What is the secret behind that?
Okay, so if I sit here and tell you we don't fight, people don't have their differences, I'm lying because we are humans. We all have our
Mhm.
flaws. There is some tough competition in there, but I believe it. I classify it as a healthy one because, but we don't allow that to affect the business. The agenda is to push comedy to the next level. So regardless of our differences, when it's time for us to work, we put our differences aside and make sure the work is done. The work needs to be done. Our private issues shouldn't affect the work. We know how far we've come. The fight, the kind of fight we fought with people, fought with the system to get the mileage we are getting now. We have come too far to lose everything just to something very petty. You know. So yes, we do our own thing back though, but the job still needs to. I can fight with any comedian now, but when it's time for my show and I call them, yo, I need you to come through for me. They will show up pepe. When we go back, they will go and do our thing.
So when you go back to do your aka, and
Oh no,
that.
that I can't necessarily not I can't necessarily, but you know. Well, you see, we are just colleagues. Just
Mhm.
some of us are just tight, but we are
Yeah,
just colleagues.
it's not
And
friend.
when you go to a firm, and it happens in every firm,
Yeah.
not every big firm, there are some colleagues who are very close to each other than others. But
Mhm.
no matter their differences and the job, work, corporate politics, whatever is going on within their workspace, they have targets to meet. So if receptionist is not okay with accountant, so if somebody comes to the reception and wants to see accountant, receptionist needs to make sure the accountant meets the investor. Investor will meet whoever. Then job will be done. When they go back to their house, they can choose not to talk or they can choose not to. That's their own cup of tea.
Well, two more questions and I let you go. If a kid is in senior high school right now
Mm.
and is looking to pursue comedy, what should they do now to make sure that they are prepared for the bigger stage?
Find a comedy club, join, get a mentor, be ready to learn, be ready to sacrifice a good number of years that you will never be paid into the craft. You need to see there are a lot of great guys in the system. For you to earn a spot in there, it should be worth it. You know? So just find yourself a comment. Comment people, especially when they tell you in cheap, hey, what the junior now so be junior. Don't mind them. When they start paying, they would love to affiliate. So
Hmm.
just find a comedy club. We have one at Tesano every Thursday. We do come and try your jokes. When it's not perfect enough, the senior comedians will help you build the jokes. That's where you can also build your confidence for the big stages. And when the time is right, oh, money, the fame, the cars, the houses will follow, basically.
So your last words before I let you go to parents who have children who are interested in comedy or are interested in the arts in general, what would you say to these parents?
Um, the world has moved from the typical way of like we making money. Now art is really paying. In fact, the world was actually built on art. So if you have a son, a daughter who is interested in art, don't look down on the person. People now dancers are earning a lot of money. They are driving cars that even some civil servants can't afford. Comedians, some are having homes. I know comedians that have built homes, have some of the big cars you can think of. Musicians are making some good money. I listen. The ecosystem, when you do your things right, you make some good money. It's just a little guidance. Find a way to guide them through it because it's like a jungle. If they fall prey to the wrong company, they might end up going waste. but just guide them through it and encourage them. And let's see how best we can maximize the talent and earn more money from it. Because right now, the world is moving towards talent. The world is moving towards talent. I know a lot of people who have degrees, they've studied so many things, but now they've veered away doing something related to talent. So if you discover the talent, help them polish it. Definitely, they will make you proud. Imagine recently, I took my dad. No, I didn't take. TV3 invited my dad to surprise me on Father's Day, and I don't think my dad ever thought a day is coming he will be invited to TV3 too, and he was so happy, you know. And these are some of the things that makes parents very proud. And his friends, like they were proud of my father and proud of. And what will make that possible? It is the gift that God has given to me, that He encouraged me to do or pursue. Others. So now the benefit is trickling down to even him.
So, to my viewers at home, Lekzy the Comic was my guest today, and he says that the world is moving towards talent. So, if you have a ward at home, encourage them in terms of their talent, and that could be the way for them. Until another episode of Life After School, my name is Yawajay. Like, share, and subscribe.